Good morning, Zio here, and if you haven't already commented on the video, because that's how this goes, right? Comment first, then hit the like button, and then subscribe to the channel, because I said so. Yeah, that works. I told you to do it. Go ahead and do it. I'll wait. You didn't do it, did you? Gosh, why won't you people do that? Anyway, aside from that, you know what I hate? DRM. I've never been a fan of DRM or anything like that. And we're actually seeing some of the repercussions of DRM playing out right now. So let's get into it, shall we? Anyway, I seem to have fixed maybe the squeaky chair problem because there was a screw loose. So hopefully I won't be flying back and forth like that anymore. But other than that, DRM. What is DRM? DRM is an anti-piracy, and it still squeaks. Oh well, the chair always squeaks. It's bad. It's a cheap chair. DRM is an anti-piracy software, essentially, right? It's always online. It's got to check with a server and say, hey, I'm legit being played. This isn't pirated or something like that. And, that's why a lot of companies keep going towards these online only kind of service things too, is because they want to feed in things like DRM to prevent pirating. The problem is the DRM seems to cause way more problems than it ever actually solves. People eventually do crack the DRM anyway, so it kind of makes it a moot point at that point in time. But until then, usually it plagues games with issues like the fact that it's constantly checking up with the server, it's eating up data, it's bogging down your network, it's bogging down the computer sometimes because it's trying to run and it's using so many resources just to prove that it's a legitimate copy and all this other stuff. And DRM is just troublesome altogether, especially when they throw it on single player style games. It wouldn't be the first time if you go back and look at just the history of some of the things that DRM and the uproar and the outrage that it has caused in the single player games, where people are like, why? I don't have an internet connection. I want to play this game, but I can't because the DRM won't let me. And, then, of course, if you don't have a stable connection or if you're traveling or something like that, if you live out into the mountains and you're, hooked up to a satellite internet, I'm sorry if you are, because I know people do that. I'm so sorry. Anyway, but, your connection may not be completely stable, and then it's just kicking you out, won't let you play the game, and the game is single player or whatever, with a multiplayer component or something. And DRM is horrible. There needs to be a better way. I get it. People don't want people to pirate, and for the large majority of people, they probably won't pirate your game. There's a chunk of people, not a huge chunk, but a chunk of people, who will always pirate. That's all they do, is they will sell the high seas. They get everything, from TV to video games to movies through, file sharing type sites, and pirate the heck out of stuff. But yeah. Then there's also a group of people who want to try out something because maybe the game got a bad reputation or whatever, and, or the developer has a bad reputation for doing X, Y, and Z or something like that. I don't know. And they decide that they're going to pirate the game to try it out. And then they like it and they go buy it. And before somebody says, oh, come on, nobody does that. Yes, people do that. I have done that. So at least one person on this planet does that. That's at least one. So, take that. Anyway, aside from selling the high seas, but yeah, this is a problem. definitely a problem. The always online DRM issue. It's been 8 years. Believe me, talking about something like Tron, 8 years later, Tron Evolution, which to me, subpar game, not that great, whatever. I didn't care for it. Other people did. So other people bought it on sale, on Steam sales, and other things that just hadn't gotten around to playing it. I mean, I still have games on my Steam list that I have yet to actually install and play, because I got them super duper cheap or whatever the case may have been. It just never gotten around to it yet. So if I was, to take this and go, oh gosh, I forgot that existed. I should install it and try it out. Give it a shot, play it. I paid $2 for it. Might as well. Maybe I'll find something I enjoy. And then you boot it up and you're greeted with a message that says, oh, by the way, we can't verify your key, so get lost. What? But yeah, anyway, so let's just look down here and we'll go ahead and go over some of this stuff here, the quotes from people. But in reality, everyone who owns the game but doesn't have it installed and launched at least once right now can't play the game probably ever again. And that's another downside to definitely with the digital age of games, right? I'm going to once again show off a copy of Mega Man Legends 2 because this is the only thing within arm reach, and it's an amazing game, and I eventually do plan to play said game, in Let's Play fashion at some point one day, maybe, if I can get around to it, because me doing Let's Plays went over like a lead balloon, just because I don't have the time to actually do them. But, with an owned game that you have a physical copy to, I can go ahead and get a PlayStation, fix it up or whatever, or get one that's working, plug this into it and play it, no problems. I may not be able to save it without a memory card, but, I can get a hold of one of those somewhere, possibly, and, be able to play this game again. However, if I bought this on the PlayStation Store, and only owned it through the PlayStation Store, on, say, my PS3, and my PS3 died, and the service for the PS3 no longer exists, guess what I can't do? Play that game on my PS3 because I bought it through the digital thing, and that is one of the issues with the whole digital thing and DRM and other stuff. They sort of go together on this front. And the whole streaming games as well, like the way Stadia wants to do it, Google Stadia. They want you to pay for a service to get 4K and all these benefits and upgrades and stuff like this, or you could do the free one because it gives you nothing other than access to the games, and then pay separately for these games like Assassin's Creed or Tomb Raider or whatever. But what happens if the service goes down or your internet goes down or other things? You no longer have access to it. Yeah, you paid $60 for Tomb Raider or whatever, but Stadia went out for whatever reason. It's no longer functioning. They're no longer updating. They're never using it again. They've canceled the project or something. You're out that. You're never going to get a chance to go play it again. And the same, of course, with Microsoft XPass, what is it? The Microsoft thing that they're doing right now that I knew but can't remember because that's what I do. I never can remember the names of things. So they've got their own streaming service, which seems to be, a subscription-based thing, but you don't have to pay for the games separately, which is a little bit more forgiving because as long as that service is up, you'll have access to whatever's on the game library. Even if they take something off, you didn't exactly pay for that game specifically. And, it's a bummer that, I don't know, Death Stranding or whatever that was on it, Need for Speed, is no longer available for you to play. But they did add like 5 other games in its place, so it kind of balances it out on that front. But again, you run into the same problem. Internet goes out or whatever, you can't play anything. And the same thing with DRM. Of course, the internet goes out, guess what? You're not playing it. SimCity 5, I think, was having a lot of issues with the whole DRM, always online thing, and people were like, give us single player, we just want to play single player. I mean, it's cool to build cities with your friends and all, but we want to play this game offline, and they couldn't. It was always online. And then eventually they did break down and finally give people what they wanted, and it does have an offline mode now, which is great because that's all I ever play on it. Yeah, so DRM has issues. And this is just, we've seen a lot of the current, in the heat of the moment issues with DRM. We've seen a lot of that, but we haven't really seen post DRM or, what happens after the fact, after 8 years until now. I mean, this is probably the first game I've run across that still has DRM implemented in it that people have come out and talked about and said, I can't play the game because of the DRM and why. And, I completely forgot to explain why it's an issue, but apparently Disney didn't pay the bills for whatever the secure ROM DRM license is. And that's why it's off. Yeah. But following the links and discussion, it looks like the game's secure ROM subscription ended, and now no one can validate new installations. The game was detailed or delisted from Steam back in April, but the installation was still working until October or so. Well, okay, I'll go ahead and answer that real quick because it feels like that's somewhat of a question as somebody is, because this is off the R Games Reddit thing, and I hate Reddit, but anyway, when you buy something from Steam generally will give you access to that game even after it's been delisted because you paid for it. You still have the option to install it even though, it doesn't have a page anymore. That's why. Of course, but because of the secure DRM thing, it's having an issue with the install because it can't install it now as a result. So, yeah, that's what that's all about. On the other hand, it looks like the protection was cracked a long time ago. Stinks that legit owners would have to go and track down just to play their game now. Yes, it is. Essentially, I think what that one's getting at is go sell the high seas. You're going to have to if you want to play this game. When it comes to selling the high seas, of course, I like how some games do that. When it comes to trying to prevent, not hacking, but pirating, I guess you can say. Game dev. Oh my gosh. What is the name of it now? I hope you know what I'm talking about, but it's on my Steam list, right? It's a simulator of being a game dev, making games, that sort of thing. And they released a version of it out there into the world where after you got so far around, you couldn't make any money because the games were being pirated, right? The irony, you pirate the game and then you get pirated so you can't beat the game. And then I think The Sims did something similar too, where everything gets really, really pixelated for whatever reason, partway through gameplay or something like, the pixelation that happens when a sim goes to the bathroom or takes a shower or something. It's just the whole game is like that, which, it's funny when they put things like that into games to prevent piracy. Especially when people start complaining about those as if it's an issue with the game, and the devs are like, yeah, that just means you have a pirated copy. But, when you're doing things like that, that's great. However, of course, those games don't generally have DRM attached to them or have to be online only all the time. So it's not that big of a deal at that. But I guess that's about all I got to say on this. I hate DRM. I hate the idea of DRM. There's got to be a better way to do it. Other companies, other devs, have done anti-piracy things that are way more entertaining, for one, than DRM. And honestly, I think probably a lot cheaper than trying to do DRM that's not going to kill my computer in the process. But let me know what you think down in the comments below. I will talk to you later. See ya.
Hey, thanks for watching. Don't forget to leave a comment, smash that like button, and always subscribe for more And of course, there are other videos floating around somewhere on the screen, so click one of those and see if you can find something that suits your fancy. Till then, I'll see you later. Bye.